Good afternoon, folks. Now, C is a little different. I prepared a caregiver, dementia caregiver speech for everyone this afternoon for C. So please join me in my presentation speech. Here we go. Good afternoon. I want to begin with a truth. Many of you already know in your bones, no daughter should have to watch both parents succumb to dementia. And yet, across this country, daughters are doing exactly that. Quietly, fiercely, and often irreversibly. Dementia does not dementia doesn't arrive with spectacular or spectacle. It slips in like a draft under the door. Subtle enough to ignore until the cold is everywhere. For many of us, the first signs feel harmless. A misplaced wallet, a forgotten appointment, a story told twice in the same hour. We reassure ourselves. We recognize, we rationalize, we hope. But beneath those reassurances, something inside us tilts. A quiet dread settles in before the mind can name it. We begin watching more closely, listening more carefully, cataloging small changes we wish we didn't see. And without ceremony, without preparation, without even saying the word out loud, we began to become caregivers. Not in the way the world uses the word, but in the way daughters live it. We become the witnesses. We become the protectors. We become the memory keepers. We become the last people standing. Between our parents and the void that is slowly swallowing their minds. The first parent, when my mother began slipping, the ground shifted beneath us both. She had always been the axis of our family, the one who remembered birthdays, who kept traditions, who held emotional center. Watching her lose her bearings felt like watching the house I grew up in crumble from the inside. Her confusion was gentle. At first, she laughed it off. I laughed with her, but the laughter thinned as the forgetting thickened. Soon I was finishing her sentences, guiding her through familiar rooms. Reminding her of people she once loved fiercely. I became her compass, and in doing so, I began losing the version of her who had always been mine, the second parent. When my father began slipping too, the grief didn't just double, it multiplied. Caring for two parents with dementia is not simply twice the work, it is twice the heartbreak, twice the vigilance, twice the emotional deterioration. It is living inside a house where both pillars are crumbling at once. He repeated stories in loops, each retelling shorter, thinner, more fragmented. His once steady hands trembled over simple decisions. His once sharp mind became a landscape of gaps. I became his anchor, and in doing so, I became the only person left who remembered our family from the inside. The daughter who becomes the caregiver. Caregiving is not a role daughters choose, it's a role that chooses them. It arrives through proximity, through love, through the quiet recognition that no one else knows your parents' rhythms, fears, and histories the way you do. You become the one who interprets their half sentences. You become the one who absorbs their panic. You become the one who remembers what they can no longer hold. Identity shifts in layers. You lose spontaneity. You lose the version of yourself who relied on your parents for guidance. You lose the illustration that life unfolds predictability, but you gain something else, a fierce, grounded clarity, a resilience. Forged in crisis, a tenderness shaped by grief, a capacity to love in ways that you do not depend on being recognized. Caregiver identity is not a diminishment. It is an expansion, painful, profound, and often invisible to the outside world. The emotional architecture of watching two parents fade. Caregiver identity is built from contradictions that coexist without resolution. We feel honored and burdened, devoted and depleted, chosen and trapped, grateful for the time and devastated by what time is doing. These contradictions do not weaken us, they define us. They become the emotional architecture we learn to live inside. A structure built from love, grief, and endurance. And the relentless demand to keep showing up. We learn to hold two truths at once, that we would do anything for our parents, and this is breaking us. The intimacy of presence. As dementia progresses, memory thins, but presence deepens. We sit beside our mothers as they fold the same towel 3 times. We listen to our fathers tell stories, missing half their pieces. We find beauty in the fragments. We find connection in the quiet. This intimacy is not sentimental, it is elemental. It is the kind of closeness that forms when memory fades, but love remains. The slow goodbye. Dementia is a long farewell. We grieve our parents while they are still alive. We mourn the parts of them that disappear. Piece by piece, we learn to love them in their current form, not the form we remember. And when the end finally comes, it is not just the loss of a parent. It is the loss of the last shared memories. It is uh, the last person who remembered our childhood from the inside. It is a second orphaning, but it is also a testament. A daughter who walks this path learns that love is not measured by what is remembered, but what is given again and again, even when it is not recognized. A call to this room. No daughter should have to watch both parents succumb to dementia, but the daughters who do become something extraordinary. Not because they wanted to, but because love demanded it. They become the memory keepers. They become the witnesses. They become the continuity. And they deserve more than administration. They deserve support. They deserve policy. They deserve respite. They deserve recognition. Caregiving is not a private burden, it is a public responsibility. And the daughters carrying this weight cannot and should not carry it alone. To every caregiver in this room, your work is profound. Your love is visible. Even when your labor is not, your endurance is reshaping the world, one family at a time. And today, we honor not only what you do, but who you have become. Thanks, guys. I'll be back on with these shortly. Give me a bit for a small break, and I'll be back on with that shortly for you. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.